Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer! Hello,
right.
Boring Review Nation!
Kind of pointless.
We know all things.
All right. Welcome back to Boring Reviews. Nick here.
Varun here.
And Varun and I are here and excited to share our thoughts on Soorarai Pottru. If you have been following our reactions, we've posted reactions to the movie, live reactions as we watch the movie, and now we're giving you our thoughts. And it's not our instant thoughts. We've actually had some time to kind of marinate and think about it, and we're ready to share with you our thoughts. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and most importantly, join the conversation. Let us know below. This is a film that we've been told many times, Varun from him and his friends, myself from you in the channel and the comment section, that this is a film that most people who see it absolutely love it. So let us know why you love it. Let us know what we miss. And with that being said, I want to start off right away with something that I thought was really interesting as I was doing research after we watched the movie. So this movie itself this is obviously, can we say it's based on, it said true events, right? The movie, it did say
Yes.
based on true events.
Based on true events,
And
also a book.
also a book. Absolutely. Yeah. And the book is called Simply Fly, A Deccan Odyssey. But the interesting thing is there's a lot of screenwriters for this film. And one thing that I thought was really cool is Sudha Kangara. She wrote the script for this film. She was one of the screenwriters, but she wrote this in late 2009. And it's interesting to me that this film, which shows us the journey, what's the right word? I mean, the laborious journey. I mean, this guy went through it so much to try to get his dream made. And I don't know her journey. I don't know what kind of obstacles she faced, but this was something that she's been holding on to. The film itself had its own journey before it was made. And we can get into the COVID stuff as well, with the being released and then taking back off release and then pushing back dates and all this or that. But to me, I thought that was really cool that this movie itself was being held on to so long until it was the right time. And I do feel like it was the right time, even though unfortunately the Soorarai fans weren't able to see it in the theater when it first came out, because it's such a fantastic film. And I don't know, we have no idea. I'm not sure if it would be as amazing if it was made back in 2010.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed the movie. As you said, it was interesting how symbolic it was. The struggle, the main character grows through the movie. Also, the movie went through all those struggles. Definitely, there was using some CGI. I don't know if they would have able to use that well in 2009 when it was wrote. So definitely higher quality. It was a higher quality movie. So yeah, definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the CGI. The CGI was fantastic. I mean, even that opening scene where you can still tell it was a CGI plane with the crash, it looked really good. Yeah. And it's one of the biggest, standout points, that the technical aspects of this film, whether it's sound editing, sound mixing, the special effects. And again, this was a digital release ultimately on Amazon, luckily, because that's how we were able to see it. But you're right, the technical aspects were fantastic. But of course, the star of this film is Soorarai, right? I mean, this guy was amazing.
Yeah, definitely he did a very good job. Fantastic actor. One more point, in 2009, I don't know how big Surya was. Definitely he's improves his acting chops. Now he's like top 2, top 3 actors in Tamil industry, at least. Even in South, everywhere he's well known. And fantastic cast. Surya did a great job. And the actress Aparna, she's this is the first time I'm seeing her in a movie. She did a fantastic job. I think she did better than Surya in some scenes, I would say. She was fantastic. All the supporting characters, the villain Paresh Rawal did a great job. Yeah, overall fantastic cast.
The cast was fantastic, and when you have a film that has a great plot, or it has a great story, or it has a great couple of stars, that's fantastic. But when you are watching the film and you're having a hard time figuring out who's doing the best job, that's a real, standout point for the film itself. Because I mean, you can go down the list. You already mentioned a few in the film that acted not just okay, not just on par, but exceptionally. You mentioned Surya, Aparna. I mean, this girl is a revelation for me. She was in Mr. and Mrs. Rowdy. I've not seen that. She's been in a handful of films. And then you go on, at least on Wikipedia, she's got like a dozen films coming out. Like that's in the works to be announced. So let's talk about her for a second. There's other actors and actresses I want to talk about, but she was, I can't even think the right word to describe her. She was the equal of Surya. She was able to go back toe to toe. They were different characters, but they were so similar in so many different ways. And the way they present themselves was similar. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if that was just one of those things where it just worked out really well, where she was feeding off him, or maybe he was even feeding off her, even though he's the elder statesman, so to speak. But she was so focused in that character, but she was able to dial down the steel wall, if you will, a little bit as the movie progressed to show how much more and more she cared about Surya's character, Mara. And I thought that was a huge highlight, because when you're watching the film, you're not just thinking like, okay, she's a supporting cast and he's having a hard time. You actually feel for her and her character. And at least for myself, I get mad at Mara for the way he's treating her sometimes, because she just has that kind of presence on the film.
Yeah, fantastic actress. I really like how they showed her also, as I discussed while watching the movie as well. It was not a portrayal of a typical heroine in Indian movies, at least, like a glamorous role. It was not a glamorous role. They were not trying to show her cute or beautiful or bubbly or something like that. They were trying to show the rawness of her. The character was designed in such a way that she was not that typical urban girl, and she had her attitude. She was stubborn, and she has her own way of showing her love and hate and everything. Yeah, she was a perfect match for Surya. Yeah, I definitely liked her, and Surya also did a fantastic job. And what more you can say? He's a legend. I absolutely love him.
Yeah, this was my first film I saw him, and I've reacted to a few of his songs, a few of his trailers, but how much you really get to know an actor just from a few minutes here and there. It was great to sit down and great to marinate, and he himself, I believe, acted so well to where he was able to show different range from a younger Mara to an older Mara to I mean, that scene where he's trying to get on the plane and he has 6,000 rubies, I think it was, and he's trying to get on there. Rupees, excuse me, trying to get on there, and it was 11,000. That was, I mean, he's there in front of the people. He's pleading with them. He's begging them, and it's so heart wrenching. You don't need to have a narrator come in and say this is why he wanted to have his own airline. You got everything you needed right there in that scene. I think it was you when we were watching it. You're like, oh, this is why. This was his turning point. This is why he gets what he wants. You were on that right away, but he was able, I mean, the long hair kind of Mara was cool, but then you got to see him progress, and you got to see him be kind of like, the naive when he's meeting his idol, Goswami. And then he's, after dealing with this guy, Paresh, which is funny because that's his name in real life, Paresh. He's dealing with this guy. You can see his character change again. So yeah, he definitely has range. He definitely has skills. He was fantastic. And talking about Paresh, like you had mentioned, we were watching the movie. I had just reacted to the trailer where he shares the same character as Rishi Kapoor, the late and great. And I remember as I was doing a little bit of research for that trailer reaction, it had said that he got wild praise for this movie. I had forgotten it before we watched it, but I had remembered it while we were watching it. This guy was amazing. He was a guy that you wanted just to see fail. I wanted to see fail. Couldn't help but hate this guy. But if Gabe was here, he would say those are the best kind of characters because they make you better understand where they're coming from. He was amazing.
Yeah, he was absolutely amazing. It will be a no shock for any Indian that Paresh Rawal is a great actor. He did a great job because he's a legend. He has been industrial like from 30 years, 40 years. I don't know from how many years he is. Like he's there from since my dad's time. He can do everything. That's the amazing thing. He has been a part of some hilarious movies like Hera Fairy, completely different character, and he also plays characters like this villain characters, especially in South. Whenever he's a Hindi actor, whenever he does movies in South like Telugu, Tamil movies, he acts as villain. I don't know what South people sees him that they make him villain, but typically when he
Okay.
is yeah, typically when he is acting in Hindi movies, he's well known for his supporting characters and his comedic timing. He's a very good comedian. So he has done some fantastic comedic roles. As I said, Hera Fairy, you should definitely watch it. He completely different role. And one scene that stood out for me about his performance is when Surya goes into his office, like angry, storming into his office. When he takes away all the Pan Am, flights
The
from him,
planes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, planes. So in that scene, there are no dialogues. If you see, even Surya was just shouting.
When he's
He
up
don't.
there.
Yeah, he was just shouting, and Paresh was looking from top. He just looks at him with a little that cunning smile. That's all. That scene says everything. And at the end of the scene, I don't know if you remember, he just looks at the sky and looks at him, as if he's telling that you were trying to fly, but I brought you down. That's what I got at the end of the scene. So with his eyes, with his subtle expressions, yeah, he did a fantastic job. I thought.
Yeah, my only complaint about his character, and it's a small one, is I wanted to see his comeuppance. I wanted to see him get in trouble for the stuff he did. And we
Yeah,
get like a 10-second scene with the prime minister, like, you're in deep crap because I was on that flight. I wanted just a little bit more. But other than that, he was another scene stealer. There we go. And that brings me to my next point about the movie itself is there's really no slow parts. 2.5 hours. It seemed to me like an hour 45 minutes to tell you the truth, because there's just it goes from part to part to part. We don't spend too long in any area. We spend just the right amount of time in the emotional parts, but they don't drag it out too long. There's so many emotional parts that draw you closer to the character. When Mara's father passes away, obviously, not just when he's trying to get the money for the ticket, but when he shows up and his mom, the actress that plays Petchy or Vashi, when she is just like, I mean, she put on a clinic in that scene, and she's so mad at him. Why'd you even show up? That was hard. When he's on the phone, right, and he's waiting, or he's waiting for his nice on the phone, but he's waiting for his son to come in. He thinks he sees him, and he's so happy. The letters that she had there waiting for him to say how much you're. I mean, there's so many scenes in here that just breaks your heart. And
yeah,
the reason why those are good scenes is because when you get to the end, you're desperately waiting to be lifted up. And it means all the difference when you are lifted up. Even though at first I'm like, we're not going to get an uplifting moment in this movie because no one showed up on his plane, for crying out loud. I mean,
yeah.
they really made us wait for it, but it was totally worth it at the end.
Yeah, as you said, every scene had importance to it. There was no scene that were put in the movie just for keeping it there. Every scene had a comeback. We were also talking about the three promises that she makes right before marrying Surya. So those things come up in different argument, different stages in the movies, and the fact that he's in Air Force also comes back because he was able to land that plane in the Air Force region, because he knows, as a common person, I will not get that idea. Like if my flight is not able to
It'd be
land
crazy.
in land in airport, I'll go crazy. I will not have any other plan B. But he had a plan B. It made sense because he was already in Air Force. He knows where the other airstrips are, where he alternative landing where they can do, and he was able to get those old retired pilots when he was not getting pilots. So that influence, even that Air Force influence was well used. Even the character, the security head, Mohan Babu, which he played. He also helped him to keep his flight secured. So yeah, those things, everything was coming back. So it was feeling like a full circle, like a complete movie. Yeah.
Yeah, even when we're watching it, I'm thinking like, okay, well, that was really easy when he got the loan, what was it, the 47 locks loan
Yeah.
from I don't know who that guy was, the local guy, was like a local gangster. What was this guy?
He was Prakash, right? The one who was
The
working
guy
for
who's watching the
Pravesh.
movie, the Rajnikant movie in the theater.
Yeah, yeah. He was a loan shark. He was
Yeah.
owning the theater, but he will also finance the money. Like he will give money for high interest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even in that scene, I'm like, okay, well, that was convenient. They come back to that scene at the end, and this
yeah.
guy, we hear him on the phone about wanting the money, and the mom's worried, like if they take our house, they take our house.
Hmm.
I believe in you. But then even at the end, he's like, hey man, you want some more money? Just let me know. So that was pretty good.
Yeah,
Lot of funny parts about this movie. Like we're
yeah.
talking about the emotional things. If you haven't seen it, then what are you listening to this spoiler review for? But if you haven't seen it, it sounds like it's a depressing movie. It's not. I'm chuckling throughout the entire movie. There's so
Yes.
much comedic timing. I recently saw the Batman twice in the theater. Love that
Hmm.
movie. There's not a lot of comedy in there, but this movie shows you that you can throw comedy in there where it's not slapstick, it's not meaningless, it's not pointless. It just kind of helps you better stomach some of the tough things you're going to get through. And I thought the comedic elements of this were fantastic, which brings me back to the team of writers that did this film. You're talking about no scene was wasted. The dialogue was amazing. The comedic parts were fantastic and they were acted well. I mean, this is a situation where it's not a perfect film, but it's a really, really good film because you have those important elements that are all together making it a fantastic movie.
Yes, definitely comedic relief was something needed in this movie because it was very emotional, right? There was uh, constantly the main character was rising. At least he was thinking he was rising and he was falling, and he was having issues with his wife, with his dad. So definitely those comedic elements, those scenes definitely help. Mainly those uncles, heroes friend and heroine's uncle, I guess. Both were very crucial in implying that comedic scenes whenever it is required. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean,
It has its moment.
I don't know who the guy, I can't think of the character's name, but his friend
Yeah,
that was like making fun of her constantly, right?
yeah.
And he's,
Bun. He calls her Bun.
yeah, calls her a bum girl. Yeah. He's constantly making fun of her, but he loves her food. And so
Yeah.
there's that scene where he's like, hey, she's not married. She's
Yeah.
messing around. Can I now eat her cakes?
These cakes.
I mean,
Fantastic.
this guy has no shame. But it's those type of side characters that really balance out a more serious character in Mara and helps it just go along. Also, his other the other guy, what was it, Kali? I think Kali Venkat, who played Kali,
Hmm.
a lot of same first names in this movie. He,
Yeah.
I think he was the guy that was waiting for the wedding to get his money
Hmm.
back for that wedding or
Yeah.
whatever.
He's
He
a
was
fantastic.
pretty hilarious too. But I love that guy. He's like, "Can I have the cakes now?" I mean, this guy is such a punk.
Yeah, absolutely love all the supporting characters as well. They definitely helped in elevating the main character and overall the movie as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what are some of your favorite? What are your standout parts about this film, other than what we've already talked about?
Yeah, standouts are the crucial scenes. I've written it down because I have a very bad memory. So the first scene that stood out for me is the Udupi hotel scene, uh, where he will convince the guy whose name is Prakash, and he was trying to convince him his idea, like how he was giving an example like how small restaurants and five-star hotels get the raw materials from the same place. Still, there is a price difference. So he has used that example very well to explain his idea about like how these big companies, huge companies, are looting a lot of money from commoners for the ticket, which can be made very economical and affordable with the same effort. So that scene I really liked it. And the second scene, the fight with his wife in on the terrace. Uh, when the first time Maran falls, he has a setback. Fantastic scene. First 2 minutes you see Surya won't even speak. The wife was telling like, don't worry about this, I have an alternative, something, you can teach one of my uncle's son tuition or something like that. During that time you see Surya's expression, like he don't even speak for first 2 minutes, and he busts out like, he was not having any outlet. He was keeping all the emotions inside, and suddenly he throws everything at her, and he even slaps her. So that was a fantastic scene. And yeah, these stood out for me. I don't want to steal all the scenes. I have two more. I'll let you speak.
Hey, go for it. I mean, there's so many great scenes. You're talking about that fight. I like how he instantly realized, like, I need this.
Yeah.
I need this. My wife, she's important to me. And when she's on the floor, and he's like, I've been looking everywhere for you. First of all, she's like, where am I going to go? This is my house. Second of all, I'm pregnant, so I'm not going to run around. And he's like, but before that, he sees her and he goes to give her a big hug. I don't know for sure, but I feel like she kind of flinched a little bit because she wasn't sure how is this guy going to react, because he was throwing stuff on top of our rooftop or whatever. So I thought that was such a natural piece of acting between the two of them. I still at times wasn't too sure about his chemistry with her opposed to hers with his, but they still had fantastic chemistry. And that was definitely a fantastic scene. I do love the scene where the security guy who used to be in the Air Force, he's like, we got you got your back. Go get some sleep. I like the scene where his friend, when they were trying to get when the guy offered him, what was it, 16 crores or something like that for their airline. And his friend's like, let's take it. And he just unloads on this guy, not because he's a hateful person, but because he has the passion. And that's the thing I love the most about this movie. For anyone that has a dream, anyone that has something they want to accomplish, you realize pretty quick, if it's not an easy thing to accomplish, you have to have a whole big amount of passion. And if someone tries to downgrade that, it's going to frustrate you. And so it was a great thing in this movie to show the passion, to show the desire, to show the obstacles it takes to accomplish whatever your dream is. And not just that, but just the idea that you have somebody in the business world that doesn't care about the almighty dollar, right? And I'm not just saying India. I'm talking right now about my own experience here in America. It seems like capitalism rules all, for crying out loud. And that is the most important thing. Doesn't matter if it's bad products or bad food or whatever. Let's just jack up the price. And it drives me insane. And so it's great to watch this movie where our lead character doesn't care about that. He cares about the people. Tickets for 1 rupee, for crying out loud, right? I mean, that's just insane, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get tickets here for $1, for $10, whatever it is, and that's not even close to what equals out to 1 rupee. So I love that. That was probably my favorite thing about the entire movie, that this guy was not worried about the money. He was honestly worried about the people, and a little bit making sure no one went through what he went through when he's trying to get back home in a short amount of time.
Yeah, definitely. That's very inspiring because he went through some personal loss, right? Because of the lack of facilities that everyone has. Not everyone can afford everything. Like flying is something that not that everyone can afford, and he got affected by that. He had a personal loss, and he couldn't reach there on time. So instead of doing something which will benefit him, he took on this mission that will benefit everyone. Not only making the airlines cheaper, but it is so cheap that even the lowest of lowest class person can also afford it, like you said, for 1 rupee. So which was fantastic. So whenever he got any obstacle, whenever he got into pressure, instead of crumbling under it, he rise to the occasion, and he thought about everything. He was always thinking about the big picture. That's what I really liked about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is honestly a great film. I love the acting. I love the writing probably the most, but the performances were fantastic. You had actors that were committed to the role. You had a storyline that was able to tell a whole lot in a short amount of time, relatively, compared to other films I've seen that are trying to get that much story in there. The pacing was what I'm trying to say was amazing and was really well done. I'm ready to give this a grade. Do you have any other final thoughts before we grade this film?
No, no, I'm ready to give the grade.
All right. So because I'm a nice guy, I'm gonna let you go first.
All right. So it's a fantastic movie. I absolutely loved it, but it has some elements that could have been eliminated to make it as a complete movie. For example, I thought there were too many obstacles for the main characters. I know these are real events and it is based on book, but typically when you see a movie, the curve will be like this, right? He will rise to something, will fall, and he will come back, and it will end somewhere here on the top.
Typically,
But yeah, typically. But this movie was like this. Constantly he was falling and he was trying to rise. So at one point, maybe I was rooting too much for the main character. I want everything nice happen. Want everything nice to happen to him. I was worried about these too many obstacles. I was emotionally drained at one point that every time he was trying to do something, he has to fall and he has to come back. There was three instances he was raising and he was falling back, and he was even at the end. There was a glitch in the booking, right?
right.
His software
Messed up.
messed up. Even that scene, I was thinking finally he will be he has achieved this, he has done it, but there is some little fallback there for 2 minutes. He thinks that
Even the ending,
people do not trust him. Even the ending. So it was too much like this. I don't know what is this analogy, how to put it in a better way. So that was emotionally draining me. I was too much invested in the main characters. I wanted good thing happens to him very quickly. So that's the reason maybe I felt like that. Apart from that, absolutely I loved this movie. So my rating for this movie will be a solid A.
Solid A. All right. When you first started, I was like, oh no, I'm going to be rating this way higher than he is. No, but I get your point. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Hacksaw Ridge. I've mentioned that movie a lot. It's one of my favorite movies. It's a war film.
Yeah.
And it's a 3-hour or close to a 3-hour movie itself. But with that movie, for about the first hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, it's just nothing but bad things happening to this guy. Nothing but obstacles. So that kind of, there's not a lot of movies like that. You're right. Most films follow that arc or that obstacle to positive pretty well. Hacksaw Ridge reminded me of this one in that way, where it's just bad. There's another one I can't think of, but the thing about that is you definitely earn that happy ending at the end. My main problem with this film, and I don't have too many of them, is just what you said at the very end with the booking. I thought that was just one too many times. Like, we had earned that victory. We had earned, me personally, I thought it was anticlimactic for him just to find out, oh, everything's booked. And then they come off. And it was cool to see him come off the plane and, the older ladies and whatnot, his mom, they were all excited. But it would have been cool, as cheesy as it sounds, to see just like an army of passengers coming his way in support and this or that. And I'm thinking, like, okay, what did this bad guy do to prevent him from even getting one ticket sold, for crying out loud? So I agree. That was maybe, the screenwriters, the filmmakers, like, just pushing their luck a little too much. Yeah. For me, I also give this a solid A. It's funny that you also gave it that, because at the end of the day, this is a film that I'm going to remember. This is a film that if I watched it in 2020, it would more than likely be in my top 10, probably my top 5 for that year, because it's just that level of a film, which is a lot to say because I heard so much hype about it beforehand. For me, the first 30 minutes were kind of tough to get into it because I really wasn't sure, where it was going, and it took a little while to go, but it was totally worth it because the film told the story it told. So those are our thoughts. We really, really liked it. Let us know what you think about it. Comment below. Let us know what you think about my man Varun right here. He did a great job. I appreciate him helping us out, not just on the channel, but help me out right here. No, give those thumbs up. don't give him a thumbs down. Come on, he has to deal with me. That's enough punishment for him. But thank you so much, Varun, for joining me on this review.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to us for so long. Thank you, Nick, for having me. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we hope to have Varun back very, very soon. Let us know what you want us to review and watch next. Let us know what you want us to react to with our movie reactions that we're doing. And with all that being said, until next time.
Take care, guys.